I was in Western Mass for the holidays, and I saw that Linens and Things was going out of business. And my first thought was, should have been more specific. I was at a fish market, and there was a little boy behind the counter who had a bucket of live fish, and he took one and he put it in his mouth, and it was like, wiggling about. And his mom, who I think owned the place, turns around and goes, "What are you doing?" And he, to my surprise, points at me and goes, "He dared me to." And the mom turns around and was like, "Did you dare my son to put a live fish in his mouth?" And I was like, "No, first of all, if I dared your son to do something, he'd be dead." My dare wouldn't be like, "Nah, read a short story quickly." It'd be a real dare, like, eat a bag of fire. Build a time machine, jerk off in it, and send it to Hitler. That's a dare. I was at this Democratic event, and there was all this stuff that the Democrats were doing about stuff, and then there were about 12 anti-abortion protesters that nobody could care less about at this thing. And they had their giant signs, like a picture of a fetus with like, "This fetus never learned Skype." Whenever they're mad at. And there was one lady who had a huge sign the size of her body that said, "America is better than abortion." Which is true. But I think it is a bad idea to have grammatically ambiguous protest signs. To have like a protest sign that's like, "Abortion, neither here nor there." I did a book tour. I wrote a book and then went to stores and read from it, which is normal. And what I found was that in every city, at every bookstore, there would be a crazy person. And at the end of the reading, the people who ran the store would come up to me and be like, "I see you met Jeremy." Yeah. So when I was in Seattle, there was a lady and she had a cup of noodles, and she was eating it from it the whole time. But she had been banned before, and they were like, "You know what? You can come back for Eugene." So she's eating this cup of noodles, and at some point in my book, I have this part where I go like, "I'm Jewish," and then I go, "Sorry," and all of a sudden she stops eating and she goes, "Why did you apologize for being Jewish?" And I become a little annoyed, so I go, "Because it's a terrible thing." It horrified her. But then what happened after that, when I finished my presentation, there was like a 12-year-old going back, and he pointed at me and he went, "Why is everybody looking at him and not at me?" "Oh, because he's funny." And it was odd, it was like that. And what it turned out was that this 12-year-old boy was the son of someone who worked there, and that he had Asperger's. So he created, he couldn't judge social situations, he created rules and rituals for himself. And then all of a sudden after that, he pointed at me again, and he went, "Why doesn't he accept me as his God?" It was amazing. And what that little boy doesn't understand is that I do. Because I find the specificity of religion super confusing. Like, if you're Jewish, you have to wear a hat, but only in the middle of your head. But it all makes sense the second that you realize that God is a 12-year-old boy with Asperger's. No wonder he's like, "I fucked up the earth. I should probably flood it and get 2 of every animal on a boat. That's the only solution I see." No wonder he's like, "You can't eat pork and you can't eat horses." He wasn't going to eat a horse, and he's like, "Good, because you can't." And you're like, "Can I have sex?" And he's like, "No! Gross. What about gay sex?" "No, I'll turn you into salt." Religion, it's not a leap of faith. It's high-functioning autism. There's no religion in the safety of Harvard Square. I was asked to do a benefit for, how there's lots of Jewish organizations that take like 17 and 18-year-old kids and in like early 20-something, and they send them to Israel to fuck in a van. that's not how they present it. But that is definitely the result. I got an email asking me to do one of these things. And I looked on the website of the organization because I had heard of it, and I found this, which I was shocked by. It says, please be aware that this trip is on a first-come, first-served basis. Once you receive your deposit, you will be assigned a number which you will carry with pride. Is this the only Jewish organization that doesn't know what led to the formation of Israel? You can't come up with a better way to keep track of Jewish kids? Anyway. I think it's appropriate. So I want to talk about how we all have our enemies, and mine is Delta Airlines. Yeah, I hate them. I flew from Seattle to New York, and they threw out all my stuff. And it would be fine, except that they were so mean about it. And I landed, and I went to badge claim it wasn't there, so I went and gave the lady at the counter my ticket. And she looks at it, and she goes, how do you pronounce your name? And I'm like, Eugene Mirman. Why? How did you pronounce it? And she goes, it's not Barbara Riddle? I was like, no, that's a totally different pronunciation of my name, because it's none of the same letters. Why would I create a private language between me and an airline? I'm not Mel. Anyway, so she's like, I left your stuff. I left, like, she did it. They were like, we're sorry, I left your stuff in Seattle. We'll get it to you tomorrow. So the next day they come, they bring me a suitcase. Looks like mine, but it's not. It's Barbara Reynolds. I'm like, oh, wrong bag. And so I called them. They're like, sorry, we'll, be back tomorrow. And they come back and they bring me Barbara Reynolds stuff again. And I'm like, oh, the underwear's too small. So I call them and I start calling them, and they're finally just like, you know what, you'll never see your things, fill out a claim, stop bothering us with this. We lose people's stuff all the time, and we hate our customers. So I was like, okay, so what I did was I wrote them a very angry letter, and this is the letter that I wrote them. Dear Delta Airlines, I hate you! You're an awful airline that's messed up the last 3 times I've traveled, and 2 of them were by train. Here's why I'm upset. You lost my luggage. Here's why I hate you. I talked to 7 different customer service people for hours. They all lied to me and then destroyed any record of our conversations. Dealing with Delta Airlines is like hiring an insincere baby with amnesia to solve a crime it committed. Plus, I think you have customer service people in India, but make them use American names. Trevor? Really? Trevor Bhatnagar? When I was at the ticket counter in Seattle, I asked if I could have an upgrade. The woman said I couldn't with a Class L ticket. I didn't know about the different classes of tickets, but apparently the L in Class L stands for, ooh, fuck you. I'd like to thank you for finding a convenient way to recreate for all Americans what it must have been like to be black in 1955. I sung them. The last time I wanted to see an organization fail as much as yours was Al-Qaeda. Do you know who they are? No. I pretend they don't know. They're a terrorist organization hell-bent on destroying the U.S. Sound familiar? It is based on your business model. Eugene, sincerely, Eugene Mirman. Thanks a lot very much.